two of the coolest guys I've ever had the pleasure to meet, and I cannot wait for you guys to have your own chance to get to ask them some questions as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him as Apollo Creed, Mr. Carl Weathers. And you know him as Mr. Dolph Lundgren.
Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, we'll do it kind of talk show style.
There you go. Talk show.
Talk show style. Hello, talk show.
Hey.
Guys, thank you so much for coming to San Antonio.
First of all, do you mind if I put my foot on the furniture?
No, go for it.
All right, now we can get comfortable.
You're the first person, I think, to do that, but you know.
I know, it's really kind of like out of character. I'm such a prim and proper guy.
All right, now you guys are going to get along up here, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Sure.
Why wouldn't we? Didn't you see that movie that we made where we were lovers? Didn't you see that movie? Come on, why wouldn't we get along?
Yeah, it didn't come out yet, but
That's
censors.
the next Rocky movie, right? Yeah. Okay.
That's a good idea, actually, isn't it?
I don't know, man.
No, I kind of like that. Creed out of the closet. I think it'll work. You know, come on, I'm an out-of-work actor. I need a job.
Yes, but my friend Putin, he doesn't like those.
Actually, though, the crazy thing is, right now, we could really.
I call Sly, also he says.
I mean, think about it, though. With all the stuff that's going on politically right now, with the two characters in the ring right now, it'd be better than ever.
Yeah, maybe. We'll ask Stallone,
Man, Dolph, he's so excited about this.
I
thought I had a great idea. He's so excited.
Shorts again.
We can start a petition right now, you guys. We can make this happen.
Hey, let's go. Put your hands up who want to see a rematch. Look at that, man. I love it.
It could be the rematch.
Don't want one.
For each of you, I want to kind of go back a little bit to the beginning. Now, Carl, first I want to ask you about there's the very infamous story about your audition process for Rocky and how you really did kind of tag Sly on the chin and that whole thing. Can you talk a little bit about the truth and the process of that whole thing and what really did go down?
Well, first of all, when you say tag him on the chin, I mean, metaphorically maybe I did that, but I didn't do that physically. No, I was in audition, and any actor knows, especially when you're young and really chomping at the bit, you go and you read for something, which I did, which I had to do because they didn't want to see me. I was a star-like actor. I was just a guy out there looking for a job, and I went in on audition, and it was what they called a cattle call with hundreds of other actors, of course, and it was on a Friday evening, and nobody wants to sit around waiting to read lines on a Friday evening, but finally I got my chance to go in, and all these actors sitting in the outer office, and I go in, and there was Bob Sharnoff and Irwin Winkler and John Avildsen, the director, and a couple of other people, I think. And, as it happens, they ask you a few questions. I answer the questions. And finally, a door opens over to the right, and a guy walks in and sits down. They introduce him as the writer of the movie, and okay. So he sits down and opens the script, and I have my lines somewhat memorized, and we start going through the scene. Playing the scene out. That's my audition. And I finish it, and it was like crickets. Nobody saying anything. Nobody said, "Oh, you did a great job." Nobody said, "Cheers, you're terrible." Nothing. And they're sort of sitting over, leaning over to the side, talking to each other. Finally, I just thought I gotta save myself. I said, "Well, if you get me a real actor, I can do a much better job." Stallone is sitting there, and I don't know, he's starring in the movie also. They just introduced him as the writer, so he's kind of looking up at me. I'm, trying to impress the people who are supposed to make the decision. Lo and behold, I was asked to come back and audition, and then they asked me to take my shirt off, which it was suspect, wait a minute, you asking a guy to take his shirt off for this movie? I mean, come on.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Casting couch. But anyway, eventually, I had to go in and show them I could box after I lied about that. Of course I couldn't box. I was a football player, but I told them, I'd boxed in club fights in Canada in the off season when I played for the BC Lions, and took me into a gym with a really great boxer, and Jimmy Gambino, who was the little guy in the ring in the early Rockies, and beat the hell out of me, and I tried to do my best, and at the end of it, they went back and told me, yeah, I think he can do it. That's how it happened.
Yeah. Dolph, you tested with, there was like 8,000 guys that tested for your role, and you won that part out of all those guys. What was the defining moment? Yeah, I mean, seriously. What in your opinion, do you think was the defining thing that allowed you to stand out among all those other guys?
Well, yeah, I think my situation was a little different than Carl, because I knew the Rocky pictures and I was a fan. And I was a fighter, I was a martial arts champion. And I lived in Australia. I was studying engineering in Sydney, and I went to see Rocky 3, you know, where Apollo trains Rocky to fight, you know, Mr. T. And I was fighting at the time myself in the Australian Open as a fighter, and little did I know that, you know, 2 years later I would be in that picture, in the next one, you know, I had no clue. So it happened very quickly. I was also went for a cattle call, and then I met Sly, and then I had to practice, you know, a monologue, and I had to work out to start doing bodybuilding because I was a bit thin. I had big legs, kind of thin from, you know, being a fighter. And then I had to do a screen test in LA. So they flew me in from New York, and I came down for breakfast in the morning before the screen test, and I was on a diet, so I was just having like, you know, an eighth of a piece of toast or something. So I ate that, and then I went to the elevator, and the doors open, and there's a 6'5" blonde guy looking at me. Excuse me, you know, some Russian guy. And then I went, you know, saw another big blonde guy, so I realized, okay, it's like not just me audition for this. And then I find out there was 8,000 people up for it, supposedly. Well, at least that's what Sly told me. And then I did a screen test, and the difference was those other two Russians, they kind of played the character like a Russian Mr. T. I will kill you, I will rip you to pieces, you know. Where I kind of just stood there and just said, you know, my name is Drago. I just kept very, very stoic, you know, didn't move at all. And I think, you know, that was kind of that choice that they liked, apart from looking like the character. So the next day, Sly called me in New York, hey, kid, you got the part, you know, and then moved to LA, and then met the rest of the cast. I was starstruck by everybody, you know, this gentleman here, and Burt Young, and Tyler Shire, all those people I'd seen in the movie. You know, I'd hardly seen a film camera when I came to LA to do that role, and you know, my life changed. 90 minutes. Walked into the premiere, nobody knew who I was. People would kind of get me out of the way to take pictures of the real actors, and then 90 minutes later, when I came out from the premiere, people were taking pictures of me, and it was like, wow, what the hell? What happened? And that was it. You know, it happened that quick.
Rocky, yeah, absolutely. Rock, can I say something? Oh, absolutely, Carl, please.
You know, listening to what Dolph is saying now is so reminiscent of a similar experience that I had. But what I really want to say is, if you look at Rocky IV and you look at the work Dolph did, you would never, ever believe that was basically the story he just told, how he got the job. Because not only was he fantastic as Drago, but when you stood there on screen with him, you never got the inkling of a guy who hadn't done this on this level before. We had the good fortune of doing 3 movies before, but we could not have had a more perfect antagonist in Drago than this guy here. So, man, great job.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, Rocky IV, if I'm not mistaken, was the highest grossing Rocky movie. Is it still the highest grossing Rocky movie? I think based on what it cost to make it. This obviously kind of took the franchise to a whole new level. I mean, it was popular at the time, but this became like a giant blockbuster film. Carl, you being experienced with multiple films before that, and then Dolph, you of course coming in as the new guy, what were your perceptions of how it was perceived by the public and just how big of a global hit it became and the effect it had on everybody as a result of that?
You want me to say something, Carl?
Either one of you guys.
Well, you know, every movie that you make, you have no really any knowledge of how good it's going to do. Now, of course, you know, there's metrics and people in the movie business don't make movies on a guess. They pretty much figured out what their potential box office is going to be. Obviously, a lot of times they're wrong because we look at movies that cost hundreds of millions of dollars and then fail opening weekend. But by and large, they pretty much decided whether they want to make a movie based on the economics. Let's face it, you had 1, you had 2, and you had 3. And the 3 had done extremely well. And then you had Sylvester Stallone, who, you know, is a worldwide superstar. So to take a chance on Rocky IV wasn't a huge chance, you know? And then it was a very timely movie because of you know, where we were in the world and the whole idea of Russians versus Americans. That's why, as I, you know, joke at the beginning of this, I mean, I think it couldn't be more timely again with what's going on. But no, nobody knows how much money they're going to make, but that was a pretty safe bet. You know, that was a pretty safe bet.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was a kid. I didn't, you know, suddenly, you know, I was going around the world doing promotion, people asking me, you know, political questions, or how do you feel about the Cold War? I was a 27-year-old Swedish kid. I don't know. I have no clue. So for me, it was an interesting experience, but yeah, the Cold War was still going on. You couldn't shoot in Russia, you had to shoot in Canada because obviously the guys with guns guarding, you know, the borders. And I remember in Berlin, I was doing some promotion. I was running along the Berlin Wall there, promotion for the movie, and I saw the East German guards, you know, with their AK-47s, kind of wondering what was going on down there. I was like, okay, this is real. I think maybe they tried to defect some of those guys. I don't know. But anyway, so it was an interesting time in the world for sure. Yeah.
I hope you guys don't mind if I ask this, but I mean, you just talking to you off stage a minute ago, you guys seem like you get along really well. You seem like you're friendly with one another.
No, I hate his guys.
You hate his guys?
He killed me. How can I not hate him? Come on. You love anybody who kills you? Come on.
There have been some stories about tension on the set. Is that true, and how true was it between you?
No, for me, it was just, you know, basically I was just obeying orders from Stallone, you know, anything he said, more or less. Hey, do this and do that, you know. Yeah, sure. No, I don't think so. I think it was, I mean, obviously we had that fight in Vegas, we had all those, you know, moments when there's antagonism, you know, during the press conference, but like I said, I was just concerned about delivering a performance as a young kid, and I certainly was, you know, looking up to everybody, including Carl, you know, so I didn't feel that. But of course, when you watch the movie is very powerful, and people kind of read that into it somehow. But I didn't feel that way.
They want to believe what they want to believe.
I don't believe that I wanted to kill him, but I didn't.
Thank God. if somebody doesn't want to kill you and he kills you, boy, that, you know, it's like, whoa, man, if you really wanted to do that, what the hell would have happened to me?
Well, and you actually did put Sly in the hospital. So.
Yeah, but also died in a lot of movies since, so I know the feeling. You know.
I don't think, no matter what they say, I don't think Dolph put Sly in the hospital. I think Sly just wanted a vacation. Come on.
Some insurance, collect some insurance money.
There you go.
That's fantastic. All right, listen, I know you guys have questions, and we want to try to take as many audience questions as we can. We have microphones set up here. Who would like to kick off our audience questions? Do we have one? There we go, right there. Let's go.
All right, Carl, how did you react when they first told you that you were going to be killed off to Rocky IV?
After I finished crying, you know, in all honesty, you know, it wasn't like I was jumping up and down, but at the same time, you know, it's a movie. Because that's my business, because what I've done for almost 50 years now professionally, and I was an actor before that in university, What are you gonna do? That's the script, man, you know? I do the job. As long as they pay me, they send the check, they pay me, it's cashable, I'm willing to do the job, you know? That's it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, Dolph, recently you were in Arrow and did a great job. Like, what other, I guess, superhero stuff are you into? Like shows or movies or something you're excited about? The both of you, I guess, yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Arrow was fun. I hadn't done television really before, and it's a lot of back and forth from LA to Vancouver, like 12, 20 times in one season. But I mean, the next thing I'm doing actually, I'm in this movie called Aquaman, which is a Warner Brothers, you know, DC Comics. And I play a king. I play the father of Amber Heard's character, who is Aquaman's love interest, I guess. And even though she likes older men, so you know, anyway, I'm doing that in Australia in 3 weeks. So I'm going to be, you know, it's a costume picture, a lot of helmets and armor and stuff, heavy CGI. So that's going to be fun because my character, he doesn't kick that much ass. Basically, he kind of talks a lot. So you know, so that's different for me. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Thanks.
Tell us every spoiler you can.
Yeah,
Right here.
This one's for Carl. With the new, I guess, they continuing the Rocky franchise with Creed. I wanted to know what your thoughts were on the movie and how do you feel, you know, them continuing that story and, you know, wrapping up Creed's storyline and continuing to move that forward.
Well, first of all, I thought the movie was a fantastic movie. People seemed to like it a lot. They went to see it in droves. Ryan did a spectacular job writing, directing. The acting was superb. It's the best work I think Sly's ever done, and I told him that more than once. I think he really should have won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. I mean, he was, I mean, look, you know, I started 40 years ago with Rocky, so I've seen over the years, you know, his trajectory, and of course seen him in other movies, but the work he did in that was just spectacular work. I mean, it really brought tears to your eyes, and you know, I know it's a movie because that's what I do for a living, but his performance was just phenomenal. So I thought the movie, just all in all, was great, and I thought they did a great job with following up with the whole Rocky saga and introducing Creed's son, Apollo Creed's son.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
My question's for Carl. So Carl, as a boxer in the movie, did you get to select your entrance music, you know, the James Brown Living in America deal? And if you didn't get to select it, what would you have selected for your entrance song?
Man, I gotta tell you, I've been asked a lot of questions over the years. That is the first time I've ever heard one like that. So I give you props for just that. Wow, no, I didn't get to select it, thank God, because you know what, when something is right, you just gotta give credit to the people who did it. The selection of the music, to have the three of us, Dolph, myself, and James Brown on stage at one time, come on, man, I don't care who you are. To be on stage with James Brown, a legend around the world, I mean, you know, put that one in a capsule and send it off into space, because nobody's gonna top that. It'd be like being on stage with the Beatles, okay? If I had the chance, what would I have chosen? I won't be silly. I have no clue. I have no clue. I think that was probably the best choice that anybody could have ever made. Yeah. It just worked. It just worked. And by the way, you know, the great thing about movie business is that when you have really great people, it's always collaborative. And when you write a really great script, as Sly did, again, I hate that guy for that. And when you do the kind of job he does with that character, Rocky, man, it's just amazing to me that he could just keep putting them together and making them work, you know? So you just have to give props to him and say, why would I want to try to change that? It was perfect, absolutely perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. This is a question for Mr. Lundgren. Can you tell us a little about your experience filming the Punisher movie?
Okay, The Punisher. Yeah, let me see. I can't remember. I don't think I knew about the character, but somebody sent me some comic books, to my house. And I was in Malibu at the time. And I looked at the weird guy with a skull shirt, whatever it was. And then they said, we're making a movie in Australia. So I decided, yeah, maybe I should do it. Yeah, it was interesting. We had some of the Mad Max people working on it back in the day, And there was two Japanese fighters that came in from Tokyo to play two of the bad guys that I had fights with. And they didn't really understand that it was a movie. They thought somehow they had to fight me for real. And one was crying when he had to find out he was going to die, and he was ashamed. His whole family didn't want to die. The other one was, he had to break the spear with a roundhouse kick, and he insisted on breaking the real spear, not some saw-through version, because that was also really bad for his family. So that was the toughest part, fighting these two Japanese guys. Man, I thought I was going to die. But apart from that, it was great, good experience, and I had some good people in the picture, some good actors in it. Lou Gossett Jr. was in it. Great actor, and I really enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next one.
And my question is kind of for both of you guys, but we may not get the rematch ever again. But if Dolph would choose like a younger version of himself, since we have Apollo Creed's son, who would you choose to be your son, to fight Apollo Creed's son?
You talking to me? You talking to me?
Yeah.
There's nobody else here. Talking to me? No, listen, I want to just tell you. Michael, whoever calls for me, he has to trade on me. Anyway, so I set up the phone. Listen, who would I pick? I think it should be some young Russian, vicious-looking, big, tough guy, looking a bit like a young version of me, I guess, that I can train to get back at those capitalist fools. Oh yes, I will get back for what they did to me. Even though I was a drunk in Germany for 20 years, No, I think Drago was in Siberia for a while in the mines, and then he became a drunk, and then, somehow he got his son together, and he's coming over to America to wipe the floor with his little capitalist pig, Yes.
Maybe we can get like Stoli or somebody to, front the movie. It's a lot of vodka, man.
Yes, here he comes. I see him right now.
On cue. Isn't that perfect?
What's going to happen here? It's going to be exciting.
This is scary. This is actually scary.
I must break you.
Yes. Thank you, my son. Yes.
Hold on 1 second. Let's let him go first. Go ahead. What's your question?
So my question actually is, when you guys were filming your fight scene, did y'all ever have any slip-ups, or how did that go? Did y'all enjoy that? What was the experience behind that?
Enjoy the slip-ups? Is that what you're asking?
Well, how was it?
You know what? I think that it was very short. First of all, our stuff was very short in terms of screen time, and I think that short fight between Apollo and Drago is one of the best in all of the movies. I really do. And part of the reason is, this guy, Dolph had done this, he was really, really good in the ring. Not that Sly wasn't, but this guy he did this. So it made it that much, for me, more realistic to be in there. He's a very athletic guy. And then, oddly enough, there's a moment in the movie, which is always the way it goes, where I remember stepping on this spot, and you see in the movie where I slipped, and then one of the commentators say something about me slipping. Well, it wasn't planned. It's just I hit this wet spot and slipped. So it looked like a real fight. It looked like this guy, I was running away from this guy because, Drago was going to kill him. Drago's this huge guy, right? So I just think that fight, when you look at that, it really just takes you immediately back to that movie in such a big way. Before the big punch, do you know what I mean? Before the big punch. But man, it's an exciting fight, so I don't know if that exactly answers your question. I don't remember ever any being hit, because last thing in the world I want to do is be hit by Drago, you know, or Dolph. I was running for my life, okay, most of the time.
Dolph, did you want to add to that at all?
No, I think you're right, Carl. I remember the drama of the setup is what makes it so exciting. You know, the way Drago makes his entrance, and the way Apollo comes in, you know, with James Brown, and the whole build-up, and the wife, and the both wives. And yeah, I thought it was, the setup of that fight is very, very strong. And I don't think it's ever been matched, really. I mean, the amount of screen time and energy spent on setting it up. So by the time, you know, the fight starts, you're so revved up watching it. And also the fact that Sly's there and he's his buddy, and then he doesn't want to throw him a towel. And, you know, I think all of those things added and makes it a really, really exciting cinematic moment. Every time, I mean, I don't watch it that much, but if I do catch the picture, that's a strong moment, you know, with that towel dropping and then, you know, the aftermath and then cutting to the funeral. I think it's quite powerful.
Absolutely, thank you very much. Barry.
Man, how do I follow up Drago's thunder?
Just go sit down now. Enough for you.
Every time I watch Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 especially, I always feel like I need to go sprint or go to hit the gym. How much is physical activity still part of your lives?
Sheesh. You can't, you know, look, once you've done that, once you've gotten into a place where that's a part of your life, somehow it doesn't stop being a part of your life. You know, I don't care what kind of shape you're in, or how much you have to do, or what excuses you have. Somehow you find a way not to stray too far away from getting into the gym. It just becomes a part of the life, man. So I don't know, you know, I'll be lying hopefully on the bed when I'm having my last few breaths, and maybe have a dumbbell beside the bed, trying to do another curl. You know, I don't. It's just the way it is, man. You know, you got to do something. You got to work out somehow, some way, even if it's just going out and walking. You know what I mean? Doing something.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, my question is for Mr. Lundgren. So I've always been a very huge fan of yours, very huge fan, from Universal Soldier, Showdown Little Tokyo, all that great stuff. But I was super surprised when I saw you on Arrow for the first time. I didn't know you were going to be on the show, so I was like super surprised, and I was watching it by myself, so I couldn't talk to anybody about it. I was looking around, I was like, oh my God, Dolph Lundgren's on Arrow. And
Tell everybody here.
So my question is, how did you get that role? Did they call you? Did you have to audition for it? I mean, either way, I mean, it was awesome that you were on the show. I'm glad they picked you for such an awesome role.
Thanks. No, they wrote me a letter last year, and they were big fans, and they, you know, said they'd written this character they wanted me to take a look at, and you know, I hadn't done television, but I read the character, and it was a lot of fun. You know, he's like a kind of a Putin-esque Russian, very wealthy guy / you know, mafia dude, and dangerous, and you know, so I thought it was good. He did a lot of talking, and it was a fun role to play. It was like, I ended up doing it a little bit like it was like a Russian Marlon Brando, you know. Yes, you know, so it was interesting. It was different than Drago, and I had a lot of fun with it. And also I got to do television, which I hadn't done before, so.
That's awesome. I'm glad about that.
And I'm going to keep the answer short, because it just struck me when we did in London, we had like a whole room full of journalists like this, and Stallone, you know, Expendables 1, and me, Statham, Sly, and then the first question, I get the first question, of course. I'm looking at Sly, I'm already like, I want to sort of pass it over to him. So he's they ask me something, Mr. Lundgren, so what is it? Well, they ask me a question, and before I open my mouth, Sly goes, try to keep it under an hour, Drago.
That's awesome. I'm glad they wrote you.
I have no comment.
I'm glad they wrote you. Dolph Lundgren shouldn't have to audition.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much. Right here.
Hello, this is a question for Carl. How difficult was it filming the film Predator in the jungle? How challenging was that as opposed to a normal set?
Look, there's the press version, the promotional version, and then there's the version that's the real version. The real version is when you're in your 30s or however old I was at the time. I don't care how tough it is, man. You gotta damn near be dead for you to really think it's tough. I mean, you love what you do. You're out there with a crazy group of guys, and every day, if you're in a fun location like Puerto Vallarta in Mexico, it doesn't get that tough, really. You know what I mean? You can say it's tough, but they're paying you. You get time to grab ass with a group of guys. You go out at night, you drink lots of tequila, you eat great food. You can lay in the sun on the beach on the weekends, and you have enough days off where it ain't that tough. Now the promotional version, oh my God, it's the toughest movie I ever had to work on in my life. I mean, every day we're out there, we're fighting spiders, we're fighting bats, we're fighting each other, and it was 260 degrees, and there was so many flies and bugs and a couple of snakes that were chasing me all the time. Hey, again, it's just what we do for a living, man. It was a fun shoot, and I never been around as goofier, bent a group of guys as I was with that group. Every one of them. I was the only guy who was sane. Okay? That you can take to the bank. It was a good fun movie, and to this day, it's one of my favorites.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Right here.
All right, Mr. Lundgren. From age 5 on, one of my favorite movies of all time is Masters of the Universe. In my mind, no matter how much stuff you do, you always be humanity. What are your thoughts on the movie? Because everyone either loves it or hates it. What were your thoughts, experiences filming it, and why was the sequel kind of scrapped and turned into cyborg?
Well, I think I agree. When I did it, it was Canon's sort of last picture before they went bankrupt. So they had some problems at the end of production. I had a good time doing it. I was a kid. But I enjoyed playing the character. The previous picture was Rocky IV, and I played a Soviet villain. And then I was supposed to be this American hero, He-Man. So it's a lot of pressure on me, as a young actor. But I think, what I've noticed is the film has really kind of grown on a lot of people. And like today when I signed autographs, I'd say, well, about 40, maybe 60%, say, 40% of all the autographs people ask for it from Masters. So then you have maybe 50 from Rocky IV and a few others, maybe Expendables and Universal Soldier, but people love that picture, and it's the only one that I could have my kids watch when they're small, because nobody gets their head blown off or anything like that. I think it's it's a movie that I guess they're trying to reboot, and I've heard a lot about that, but I don't know if it's going to happen right now. But they've been working on it for 5 years or something like that.
Now, if they were to reboot it, would you make an appearance? Or would you
maybe I could show up as, I don't know,
like BK Randor?
He-Man's grandfather, or something like that. I don't know, but it could be fun. It's kind of a movie that, for the time, I think they did a good job when they put it together. So it kind of has a lot of heart, I would say, the picture.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Right here.
Hi. First, I want to just tell you how much that movie has meant to me personally, how much Rocky IV especially is my favorite, has really just helped me motivate me when I need it. I'll listen to your lines, I'll listen to them, and it's helped so much. So thank you so much, both of you. I love you to death, no idea. Secondly, my kids know, they know. Secondly, do you have a specific line or a phrase or something that either of you have said in the Rocky movies that it's your absolute favorite?
Wow. There's so many great lines, and I have the good fortune of being 4 of them, so you can pull lines out of each one. But, okay. Sorry about that. Actually, you know what? One of the lines that I really love, which a lot of people really kind of dig, wasn't a big thing in it. In a way, I think it was improvised at the moment because when we walk out after, I think it's Rocky 3, I think, and where it's just Sly and I and Apollo and Rocky in the ring together, and Chapman, the character kept saying, "You owe me big after this," blah, 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 blah. So we finally go at the end of the movie, and it's that one where they freeze frame the punch, you know, which a lot of people love, always asking, who won? Who won? We froze, the truth is, there was no winner. We froze frame before we hit each other, or we'd have both been dead, you know. But we're walking out, and he says, you want to ring the bell? And rather than touch it, I just said, ding, ding. A lot of people love that, and I kind of dig it just because it's so simple, you know. There you go. That to me was just simple, worked at the time, works forever.
Yeah, I think you had a lot of lines. I didn't have that many, so I had about
Come on, you did.
4. I think I had 4 lines, of which 3 are, you know, sort of famous, and I don't know. No, I like the moment where I'm, you know, in the first press conference when they ask me a question, and they say, so Drago, how does it feel being an American? And I'm just like, and then he goes, the man's tongue didn't make it through customs. So I thought that was funny. Well, the first thing I think you need, Apollo, is a ladder.
I'm going to tell you my comment if I can. Here's my favorite line.
Yeah.
Okay? And I think everybody out here has to agree. I will break you.
Yeah.
Come on.